Hello and welcome to today's yoga class with me, Helga, here at the online studio Zen Yoga Flow. We are filming from the French countryside house at the farm where I am, and I sure hope you're having a good autumn where you are in the world. So today's class is going to be 20 minutes. It's a restorative yoga flow on the mat, and we're going to be doing mostly laying down poses, sitting or on the knees, so there's no standing here. Feel free to keep it nice and warm around you. I've got the fireplace going for a bit of ambience, and you can keep your socks on, and maybe you'd like to have a nice warm drink. And we'll be starting now in a seated position on the mat. And I'm gonna light a candle for us in a second. And I'm gonna ask you to just look at the candlelight and breathe and sort of meditate here a little bit. Okay. So just getting the matches now. All right. Lovely. So just hearing that nice little candle crackling. And if you place your attention on the candlelight, breathe in nicely and smoothly, inhaling and exhaling. Focusing your attention. In yoga that's called drishti, to focus the gaze on a specific candle, for example, or just a point at the horizon. All right. Now, still in your state of presence, continuing the rest of the session, just dropping your head down, letting your neck be heavy, and then looking over one shoulder, and then looking over the other shoulder, still breathing nicely, maybe one breath, one movement, doing this again, rolling the head up and down across the shoulders. All right, and now taking the head up to the ceiling, inhaling, and then dropping the head down, exhale. One more time, inhale up, and release breath, look down. All right, head back to center and start to take your shoulders up to the ears and back. Warming up the shoulders here and the upper back. One direction in a circular movement. And then changing the direction. Very nice. Back to center, taking hands to prayer and rubbing them together to create heat. Rubbing the hands. And then placing them on your neck on each side, giving yourself that warmth at the beginning of class, giving yourself that love. Now placing one hand on the floor, raising the other arm up to sky. Nice side bend here. And then take the opposite arm up to sky and do the bend on the other side. Do this again, one side each, and really bring yourself down towards the floor if you can, making it big and generous. Very nice. All right, let's get started now with our first pose of today's session. Child's pose. So taking your knees out quite wide, but not too much, just where you're comfortable. And then dropping your head down, and you're welcome to have both of your hands under your forehead as a pillow. So in this restorative, gentle, slow flow today, we're starting in child's pose. To really surrender, soften in our bodies, and relaxing the face. Let's get rid of the tension that we sometimes have, this seriousness in everyday life, right? So relaxing that jaw. And just letting everything melt down into the ground. Be sure to breathe here evenly in and out at your own pace. And on your next inhale, still in your child's pose, extend your arms. Extend your arms so you're sinking a little bit deeper here. And the forehead is on the mat, sitting on the heels. And if this is too much, feel free to walk your hands just slightly closer towards your face if you need. And come up slightly. Take a thread or needle. A right hand slides under. You can hold your knee if that feels good. Right hand on left knee, and the side of the face rests on the mat. And back to center. Do the same on the other side with the left arm sliding under, and maybe grabbing hold of the right knee, and your right arm still extended. And come back to center. Nicely done. So for our next pose, in your tabletop position, start to inhale as you look up, and then exhale, round your back and look down at the mat. Inhale, look up to the ceiling, round your back and really slide the shoulders back. And then exhale, push the floor away like an angry cat. These poses and movements are called cat-cows. So do a few of those in your own time, synchronizing your breath with your movement. Inhaling as you look up and exhaling as you drop the head. Warming up your spine. And back to center. Now look over to one heel, then look over the other heel. So we're getting into the hips now. This is called the dog chasing its tail. So do a few of those, still synchronizing your breath with your movements. Letting your hips really sway side to side. And eventually back to center. Now we slide into extended puppy pose. So the hips stay up, arms come all the way down. And maybe it's your forehead or nose, chin touching the mat, or maybe even your chest. So softening here. Now very gently and carefully walk yourself back up into a tabletop. And then extend your right arm and left leg. Nice straight line all the way down through the heel. And place everything back down. Do the same on the other side. Extending left arm and right leg. And place it back down. Lift through again, right arm, left leg. And this time grabbing hold of the foot with the arm, So arching the back like we did in cat-cows, squeezing the glute. And place hand and foot back down, take it to the other side. So taking your gaze up in front of you and extending left arm, right leg, and then touching hand to foot. Breathing nicely here, opening the chest, giving yourself space. And release this pose, come back to your tabletop. Take a plank. And from your plank, slowly lower down towards the floor and come into a Sphinx pose, your forearms on the mat. You're looking right ahead. Now place your forehead on the mat and slide your arms alongside your body behind you. And we're going to be lifting now the arms, lifting the knees, and also lifting the head slightly, but still looking at the mat. This is locust pose, really, really good for the back and other things. Keep it here, breathing nicely, and then gently lower down. And come back to your Sphinx pose, taking the arms to the front, forearms on the mat, looking in front of you. Now lowering your head slightly down, extend your arms and start to kick your legs up and down as if you were swimming. Kicking, kicking, kicking here. Okay. Now slide both your arms beside you and let your head rest on the mat with your right cheek on the mat. And come back into Sphinx pose, forearms on the mat. And then grab hold of your foot with your left hand, so left hand to left foot. And release. And come and rest yourself on the mat with the left cheek on the mat, arms beside you. All right. Now come back to Sphinx pose and grab hold of your foot, right hand to right ankle. Stretching the quads here. And release. Come back to Sphinx. Now push yourself up into a tabletop. For our next pose, so bring your right foot to the front into low lunge. So the hips are forward and square, and the back knee is on the mat, and the toes are untucked. Now grab hold of your back foot with your left hand and look right in front of you. Very nice. Now sliding into a split here, half split. Flexing the foot towards you. And finally, let's come into lizard here, walking your front foot a little bit out towards the side, and the hands come in alignment, both hands with that foot. Then we take the knee off at the back, and you're welcome to rock slightly front and back like I'm doing, if that feels good. Or stay still in your pose. Lizard pose, very good for the hips. Or creating new space. All right, let's go into tabletop. And when you're ready, we're doing exactly the same sequence on the other side. So first, a low lunge here. Left foot at the front. breathing nicely. And then grab hold of your foot, right hand to right foot. Or in that direction if you can't quite grab the foot, that's all right as well. And transitioning into our half split here. Sending the breath to the back of the leg that we're stretching. And then let's get into our lizard pose. Lots of space here for yourself. Let yourself be open. Just let your body guide you if you want to tilt a little bit back and forth or not. Okay, let's release this pose now, and we're gonna do a pigeon pose, starting with the right leg. So bring your right leg to the front. So we want the knee to be more or less under the right wrist, and the foot, the actual foot and toes and ankle, to be somewhere under the left hand, but obviously it's gonna be a bit further away. An option to come down on the forearms if that feels good. That's a bit of a deeper stretch. And just staying with it in your pigeon pose. And now lifting yourself gently up. And prepare to do pigeon pose on the other side. You can transition by doing a plank pose, for example. That's quite nice. So taking left leg to the front, same setup. An option to just stay as you are, with the hands touching the mat and your upper body sitting nice and tall, or folding over with the forearms on the mat, chest towards the floor. Letting your mouth be slightly open here to let the energy pass. Breathing nicely. And then very gently releasing this pigeon pose, and just find a seated position with your legs extended. Grab hold of your toes, or maybe place your hands on the calves. Folding forward here for a few seconds to reset. Alright, now we're going to release this forward fold and come into our next pose. Lay down on the mat on your back and make sure that you can brush your heels with your fingertips, so your hips are now coming all the way up to sky, knees are bent. Bridge pose, so holding this shape for a few breaths, sending the pubic bones all the way up to sky, and the knees are fairly close together, the thighs are fairly close. Squeezing your glutes. Still keeping those hips up to sky. And then ever so slowly bring yourself down on the floor, vertebrae by vertebrae. And take your knees into chest. And then grab hold of your feet or toes for happy baby. So your knees are almost sort of into your armpits. And just releasing here, letting go, letting go, letting go. Slowly release your grip, let your legs fall just any way they want, out to the side, arms alongside your body, palms facing up. Close your eyes for our last pose of today's class, Shavasana, resting pose. And just tune into your body, see what your energy is like, your vital force. In yoga, we often call it prana, the vital energy inside the body. And in Chinese culture, it's called qi. So just measuring your level of aliveness compared to when you started the class and now. Giving yourself that self-love, staying here for as long as you need, and I will see you next time.